Greetings Internet, I'm your host AVCF and welcome to the Loading Time Game channel. Goldeneye 007 was undoubtedly one of the biggest successes of 1997 and the film of the very first Loading Time video. But I want to talk about another 007 game that was launched just after the N64's classic and ended up forgotten. I'm talking about Game Boy's James Bond 007, the first James Bond adventure for a Nintendo system. Well, let's see it. So James Bond is very straightforward as it hasn't any sort of intro, going directly to the first stage. The player only gets some text boxes summarizing the game's plot and then go directed to business in a stereotypical rural China. The in-game mechanics are heavily inspired on Zelda Link's Awakening, so yeah, James Bond works almost as an action RPG, where the player must talk to NPCs and exchange key items to progress. James Bond's first event works as a little tutorial in that sense, as the player is required to find a hammer so that the fisherman can fix a bridge that is blocking the way. The rest of the stage is just a way to the temple, where the game's first fight happens, a pretty easy one. Once at that temple, the task is to find an invisible door that leads to a secret office that contains a key to open a safe with a dock. Then 007 must beat the easy boss. The final section of the stage is just a string of weak kung fu dudes and then 007 stylishly escapes with his boat. Second stage depicts the famous MI6 office and is just a quick pit stop to get some info and an item for the next mission. The catch here is a secret item called Marble that can be located by attentive players. This item unlocks the game's best ending. So James Bond arrives in Kurdistan, and this is where the game begins to pick up steam. First mission is to gain access to the cabaret, so we need to talk to some NPCs until we can get a pass. After we get a machete by inspecting a suspect's house, we will then exchange some items until we get the pass bribing a prisoner. Once in the cabaret, 007 has to put the light down by shooting the lamp. Yeah, the guard must be deaf. Then get the lamp required to light the cavern where James Bond will fight the stage boss using the machete and the paralyzer got in the second stage. Pit him to get the key to rescue 008 and proceed to the next stage. Now James Bond is Marrakesh, the game's most interesting stage. Firstly, the player has to explore the city and find the casino. The curious detail here is that the game producers implemented two playable minigames, Blackjack and Red Dog. They are even unlocked after the game is finished, so the objective here is to get 5,000 to access the main game room and make an important NPC to get there. Afterwards, Bond has to cross several ways to reach the black market. Bond has then to exchange some items again to get the night goggles and then proceed to the catacombs, the path to the next 3 stage key points. A secret passage to a spa filled with ladies, 007 gentlemen, whose leader or chief, I do know, gives a diamond required to be given to a certain rat man that is hidden in another point in the catacombs. He then gives a tranquilizer gun required to put the casino guy to sleep, and to do it, Bond must find a secret spot also located in the catacombs. Once the things are done, Bond must return to the casino and get the room key from the casino guy. It's a museum that nobody gives a damn. And then return to the hotel just to get access to Oddjob's room. Yeah, the famous movie henchman. The game then triggers a boss battle impossible to win and Bond ends in captive. So 007 is dropped in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and he must survive until he can find a military airbase. It's a short stage where the player must memorize the correct path to not die of thirst. Now Bond lands in Tibet. The first mission is to traverse a string of caverns to reach a temple. After passing through some caverns, Bond then will need to get a rope to reach the mountain's higher spot. Once in the temple, the game becomes unintentionally ridiculous as Bond must beat a courage test that consists in fight several fatty sumo fighters just to end failing in Oddjob's hands again. 007 then is taken to a secret base where it starts the game's final stretch. So Bond is saved by the first stage boss, yeah, the only female boss in the game, you get the idea. Then Bond must traverse a big labyrinth stage, find access to a job, then cross a military base and finally face the henchman. Oh, I cannot forget to say that he is comically bigger than Bond. Now Bond returns to a bombed Kurdistan and discovers that the village is blaming Bond for its misfortune, so time for redemption. The mission here is gain access to the war zone and beat 2 military thugs. Curiously, the game gets a dark and more morbid tone here, depicting wounded civilians, dead corpses, and Bond finds that Agent 008 didn't make it after stage 3. At least he left an explosive pen required to proceed to the war zone, a dangerous path that leads to 2 military bases, each with its own boss, Saddam and Qatar. Beating both grants the mirror shield and the access to the next stage. A Bond game would inevitably feature a stage in Russia, so here we are. The stage is a fairly simple labyrinth with loads of enemies. The stage boss is another of the famous Bond's henchmen, good old Jaws. To beat him, Bond must lure him towards one of the magnets and blast him with the rocket launcher. Bond now reaches the final stage, the secret base of the game's true bad guy, a certain General Golgov. The stage structure is similar of the Russia and the previous secret base. The only difference is that Bond must hit some switches in order to reach the stage's second section. Since a Bond game wouldn't be complete without a damsel in distress, 007 discovers that the stage 1 boss is trapped and must be saved. So, once all the switches are lit, Bond can face Golgov, the disappointingly easy last boss. Despite piloting a somewhat bulky flying robot, he will go down with some rocket launcher shots. With the general down, Bond can then turn some rocket missiles switch down, avoid some obstacles such as lasers and shockwaves, save the girl and call it a day. And now the mission is accomplished and the game's campaign is over. As I mentioned earlier, the marble item grants the best ending, but rest easy as I won't spoiler things here. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed this little walkthrough for this curious and a bit obscure 8-bit portable James Bond adventure. It's understandable it not featured in any best lists for the Game Boy, but I still recommend it to retro enthusiasts or anyone who wants to try something different featuring the good old James Bond. Thanks for watching, until the next time, and goodbye.